Thank you very much for getting me into this course. Wonderfully covered all the aspects of keratoconus beautifully. We all know keratoconus is a disease where we are all working to prevent patient reaching up to the stage where surgery has to be done. And yes, there are some instances now even also require a surgery, like especially stage 4 keratoconus, when you have uh, steeper cornea, thin corneas, and scarring, where other alternatives which we had discussed earlier may not be feasible in those cases. So these are cases like a large central scar post hydrops, or a very, very steep cornea, thin, less than 250 microns, or central scarring, not adequately correctable with contact lens or a spectacles, intolerance, and visual acuity of patients not up to the mark. This is a study we published long time back, 2010. I think it still holds true the risk factors for a keratoplasty. We found a patient has a hydrops. The chances of surgery increases many, many fold. Therefore, eye rubbing, history of atopy, also associated with a high risk of hydrops, will have higher chances of getting into a surgical aspects. In our study, we found 5% patient having a family history, early onset of a disease, history eye rubbing, VKC, steeper cornea, thin corneas, lower best corrected visual acuity, corneal scarring, hydros were all associated risk factors to get into patient for a surgery as such. What are the options we decide on what basic parameters? There are three important parameters on which friends we have to decide what surgery has to be done. So central corneal scarring, thickness or thinness of cornea, and the involvement of cornea in terms of scarring in the visual axis. So these three important points are there. So if you have deep central scarring, excessive corneal thinning, and descemet scarring, disease endothelium, you have to consider full thickness keratoplasty for such patient. But if a keratometry is not that steep and your corneal thickness is more than 250 microns and you can't do other procedures, then you may have to do a DALK in such cases. Very thin corneas, you have option of doing either DALK or manual DALK in these patients to achieve a successful result, not to damage the endothelium in such cases. Peripheral involvement of cornea, that means a very advanced keratoconus, you may have to do a tuck-in lamellar keratoplasty in such cases. For a full thickness keratoplasty, it is very important to have a good examination in terms of a cone size, the thickness of a cone, and accordingly measure the size when you're going to define it. General anesthesia will be preferred in such cases because surgery can be longer. If needed, you must put a Flaringa ring also. Suction tryptophan will give you a better option for such cases. After you achieve a suction, go clockwise rotation till you see a beads of aqueous coming up. So I'll rotate clockwise unless I see the beads of aqueous coming up. Stop the suction at this time. Then subsequently, you can cut the remaining corneal tissue with corneal scale scissors. See how effectively you have reached almost 90% of cornea. Then subsequent release of a little bit of thin stroma is very easy and you have a very effective definition. It's very important to have a hypotony and not to damage the underlying structure, that is a lens which is normally clear. Put a viscoelastic, then do a suturing these cases. The graft host disparity should not be kept more than 0.25. In fact, if it is the same size, it will be better. And we normally prefer an interrupted suture in most cases, but you can have interrupted and one single running, or you can have a double running sutures, and each surgeon should adequately titrate the amount of astigmatism they get after a keratoplasty in keratoconus. Most of the time, the results are very good because there's no interface. You get a very good optical quality. The only problem with full thickness graft is a slightly higher incidence of graft rejection in these cases, which may amount to be a 16 to 20% rejection rate, endothelial rejection at the end of 1 year, which is definitely much more than a partial thickness surgery like a DALK, where the incidence may be less than 3 or 4%. And the recovery after a rejection in a stromal rejection in a DALK is very, very fast and recover to normal, while it may not hold true for endothelial rejection of full thickness graft. So therefore, I think it's only when it is classically indicated like a very big central scar or very thin cornea, which is not amenable to a DALK, should be considered for penetrating graft as such. These are some post-op results of patients doing very well subsequently. What about doing a DALK? I think in all keratoconus, if you can achieve desmetic DALK, the results will be as good as full thickness grafts in terms of avoiding interface in these cases. Therefore, big bubble Anwar's technique is classically described. After having a 70 to 80% definition, I do a little paracentesis, inject a few bubbles inside. There will be indicator for a big bubble formation. You see the two central bubbles. I'm trying to form the big bubble with 26 gauge needle bent downwards. You can say bubble has formed centrally. Therefore, the central bubble has shifted to periphery. So there's an indication that big bubble is forming. I'll increase the bubble pressure so that I reach up to the definition mark, which I said around 70%. Release your this thing. Now I have an entire and dissect the remaining stoma. It should be open dissection as such. Subsequent to dissection, we're going to release this central bubble. The space has to be replaced by the viscoelastic. Normally, I use 1% sodium hyaluronate. You'll see as soon as we make a central nick, you can see I'm making a nick here. This peripheral bubble will shift to center. So there's a release of big bubble. I know that release has occurred. The descent had shifted back to stoma. Now we'll refill with the viscoelastic, the space, and the central bubble will again shift to periphery. And you can subsequently do a 4-quadratic stromal cut in these cases to expose the descemetes clearly in the and remove the entire disease stromal tissue in a keratoconus patient. So it is very important to remove entire disease stromal tissue right from the center up to the periphery. Therefore, initial definition marks should include the normal healthy cornea also. So once you remove the total stroma, you can do a suturing with a normal cornea, which is optical grade better. If you don't have optical grade, you can use a non-optical grade also in such cases. So if you have an IOCT microscope, that can assist you to really do a good job in a big bubble DALK, but it's much more beneficial in a layer by layer dissection in cases where you have a central scar also. And the TILC is required in a very, very large cones or even create a globus type of thing where you make a peripheral pocket to insert the donor tissue there, which has a good result in a larger size cones in a keratoconus. Recently, people talk about Bowman's membrane transplantation in a dissection into the anterior stroma. The results are encouraging in some cases by strengthening the tissue strength and decreasing the progression. Sutureless procedure, less invasive. Maybe this becomes a future. Rajesh talked about various techniques to incorporate a lenticule inside the pocket with cross-linked or non-cross-linked. That may also be future for a keratoplasty to avoid it in these cases. So how do we make a decision making? As I said again, the intestinal descending membrane endothelium thickness will decide what type of procedure you're going to do. Thicker cornea, you have cross-linking as a this thing. Less than 380 where you can't do cross-linking, DALK may be appreciable, good option. But if you have tear, scar, then for thickness graft, if the scar is peripheral, you might again attempt a DALK procedure in these cases. To summarize, keratoplasty is still needed in some group of cases of keratoconus. DALK is should be preferred than a full thickness if possible, and descemetic DALK will give a better optical results. Keratoplasty, yes, if you have central scar where DALK cannot be done, should be done. And newer techniques of Bowman's membrane transplantation may be future, or tissue assistant, cross-linked tissue assistant will be the future for a most keratoplasty replacement in keratoconus patient. Thank you, Rajesh, for getting me into this course and wonderfully conducted.